Hi boys and girls, today for Tuesday we are going to be working on problem solving 18B. That's the one you're going to be completing on your own. So right now I am going to do 18A with you. So it says, a dentist bought new toothbrushes to give patients after their dental exams. Each package he bought contained 21 toothbrushes. He bought 44 packages. The toothbrushes were shipped in 6 boxes with the same number of packages in each box. How many toothbrushes were in each box? Notice the word box, and they're asking for how many toothbrushes were in each. So that's a clue word that means division. But if you notice, we have 2, 3 numbers. So this means we're going to be doing 2 steps. So I'm going to start with the first bullet. And it says that each package, so I'm going to draw that as a box. Each box he bought contained 21 toothbrushes. So each one of the boxes has 21 toothbrushes. And I don't like my drawing. I'll leave it like that. Second bullet says he bought 44 packages. So remember, this right here was one package, and it says he bought 44. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And of course, we're not going to draw all 44. So I put ... 44. Remember that inside of these, there was 21 toothbrushes. Notice that the number is repeating. So right away, the very first thing we're going to do when the number repeats itself, remember we're going to take that number, which is the 21 toothbrushes, and we're going to multiply it times the 44 boxes. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do the turtle. So I'm going to go ahead and do the turtle head. 4 times 1 equals 4. 4 times 2 equals 8. Remember that the turtle lays an egg, so she becomes a mom, so she gets a necklace. There's no headaches here. So now we're going to go ahead and multiply the tens place. 4 times 1 equals 4. And then 4 times 2, that is 8. Add up your partial products. 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. And 8 plus 1 is 9. So 924. And if you notice, there's my distractor. But remember, we needed to do 2 steps because they don't want to know how many toothbrushes in all. He wants to know how many will be in each box. The third bullet reads, the toothbrushes were shipped in six boxes with the same number of packages in each box. Remember, same number means division. So that means we're going to have to take our total, which was 924, and we're going to divide by 6. 6 times 1 equals 9. That would be 1. 6 times 1 equals 6. Now we subtract. 9 minus 6 equals 3. So now I bring down the 2. 6 times 1 gives me 32. That would be 6 times 5 equals 30. 32 minus 30, that would be 2. So now we bring down the 4. So that's 24. 6 times what gives me 24. That would be 4. 6 times 4, 24. If we subtract 24 minus 24, that equals to 0. So my answer would be 154. Now, I do want to do these 2 operations using our box and using also our area model, just because some students like to multiply like that. So I want to make sure that you're working and practicing your multiplication and division. So I'm going to go ahead and do this problem. 21 times 44 So it was 21 times 44 equals product. So the 21, we decompose it with 20 plus 1. And 44, we decompose with 40 plus 4. I'm going to do my window or my area model. And it's going to be 20 plus 1. And then 40 plus 4. I'm going to share my two neighbors. That will be 20 times 40. I'm going to share again. So that will be 20 times 4. Erase. And now we're going to be sharing with the 1. So 1 times 40. And we share one more time. 1 times 4. So now let's work out the problem. 2 times 4 is 8. Quito pongo. That means 800. Now 4 times 2, that is 8. Quito pongo. So that makes 80. 4 times 1 is 4. Quito pongo. That makes 40. And 4 times 1 equals 4. Now I'm going to add up all my partial products. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 4 equals 4. 8 plus 4 equals 12. And 8 plus 1 is 9. Notice that we got the same product, but we did it a different way. Now I'm also going to do the division. 924 divided by 6 equals quotient. And I'm going to go ahead and do the box. So we're going to do the timetables of 6. 6 times 0 equals 0. 6 times 1 equals 6. 6 times 2 equals 12. 6 times 3 equals 18. 6 times 4 equals 24. 6 times 5 equals 30. 6 times 6 equals 36. 6 times 7 equals 42. 6 times 8 equals 48. 6 times 9 equals 54. And 6 times 10 equals 60. Remember, we are looking at the products. So the first one's a 9. I do not have a 9, but I do have a 6. So I'm going to use the 6. 6 times 1 equals 6. We subtract. 9 minus 6 equals 3. We bring up, so now we have 32. I do not have 32, but I have 30. So I'm going to do 6 times 5 equals 30. Subtract. 32 minus 30 equals to 2. So now I'm going to bring up, and I have 24. We actually do have a 24. So I'm going to say 6 times 4 equals 24. 24 minus 24 equals to 0. Notice that the quotient was 154. And if we do the long division, we still get the same answer. So you guys are responsible today for completing 18B. Now, let's go ahead and go into our skills. And we're going to go to skills 18, page 1. Right here. 18, page 1. Sorry. So for the skills 18, page 1, it's kind of like the one we did yesterday. But this one, you guys still get to practice more multiplication. We have subtraction, division, a little bit of everything. So there's 6 questions. I'm going to go ahead and do the odd numbers because I did the even on the other one. So I'm going to do the odd. So I'm going to do number 1, number 3, and number 5. So number 1 says 265 times 8. So this is multiplying 3 digits by 1. Remember, we're going to start with our ones place. So we multiply up. 8 times 5 equals to 40. But we do not write 40. We write 0. and the 4 gets regrouped. Now I'm going to go ahead and multiply with my tens. 6 times 8 equals 48. But remember, we had 4 that we had regrouped. So that would be 48 plus 4 equals 52. I do not write 52. We write the 2, and the 5 gets regrouped. I'm going to go ahead and scratch this one off because we already used the 4. So now I'm going to multiply with my hundreds. 8 times 2 equals 16. But remember, we regrouped 5. So that would be 16 plus 5 equals 16 plus 5. That would be 21. There is nowhere else to regroup. So we write 21. 1, 2, and 3. Our product is 2,120. Number 3, they want me to add. Notice that there's decimals, so I take the first number, 86.2. Notice that I'm spacing them out because I do want to make sure we're aligning our digits. The operation means to add, and I start with my decimal, write it down, and then there's an 8, and then there's actually a 7 on this one. And then before the decimal, there is a 9. There is nothing here, so I can put an imaginary 0. 0 plus 7 equals 7. 8 plus 2 equals 10. Bring down my decimal. 9 and 1 make 10. 10 plus 6 equals 16. Regroup. 8 plus 1 is 9. So my sum is going to be 96 and 700ths. Now we're going to problem number 5. 820 divided by 3. I'm going to go ahead and do my box. And we are dividing by 3. 3 times 0 equals 0. 3 times 1 equals 3. 3 times 2 equals 6. 3 times 3 equals 9. 3 times 4 equals 12. 3 times 5 equals 15. 3 times 6 equals 18. 3 times 7 equals 21. 3 times 8 equals 24. 3 times 9 equals 27, and 3 times 10 equals 30. We are looking at the products. So the first one is an 8. 3 times what gives me 8? I don't have an 8, but I have a 6. So I'm going to say 3 times 2 equals 6. 8 minus 6, equals 2. So now I bring up and I have 22. I do not have a 22, but I do have 21. So 3 times 7 equals 21. So subtract 22 minus 21 equals 1. Bring up, so now I have 10. I don't have a 10, but I have a 9. So 3 times 3 equals 9. 10 minus 9 equals 1. So this becomes my remainder 1. So my answer is 273, remainder 1. Right now that we are at home, I would also suggest for you to try to do 820 divided by 3 using the long division. So practice it. So like that you can learn it. Remember, we have one digit, so we're only going to divide by 1. 3 times what gives me 8? Well, we know that there's nothing that gives me 8, but we can use 6. So we say 3 times 2, that equals to 6. So we write that down. Now we're going to subtract. 8 minus 6 equals 2. I already divided by the 8, so now we'll bring down the next digit, which is going to be 82. 3 times what gives me 22? Nothing gives me 22, but we do have a 21. So we say 3 times 7 equals 21. We subtract 22 minus 21 equals 1. And we bring down the 0. So now we have 10. 3 times what gives me 10? That would be 3 times 3. That equals to 9. 10 minus 9 equals 1. So this becomes my remainder, 1. So try to do the long division so you can practice. And then you can also prove it by using your box method. So you guys are responsible to complete Skills 18, page 1. You guys will be doing number 4, number 2, and number 6, which are called the even numbers. So now we're going to move over to basic facts, and we are on basic facts 13 right here. So I am going to be doing the letters, and you guys will be working on your numbers. So it says A, round 27 to the nearest 10. 27. Wait, what did I do? Let me get the pen, sorry. 27 to the nearest 10. Remember, these are my ones and these are my tens. They want me to round to the nearest 10, so I underline it. The rule says, circle the number to the right. I'm going to put some ojitos because this is the one we're going to be looking at. Remember, when we're rounding, 5 or more, we're going to add 1 more. 4 or less, we do not touch it. We let it rest. So we're rounding to the 10 and we're going to circle the 7. So I'm looking at the number I circled. Is that going to be 5 or more or 4 or less? It's actually 5 or more. So that means we're going to add 1 more. Who are we going to add 1 more to? To the one we are rounding, which is the 2. If we add 1 more, he becomes a 3. Since we are rounding the 7, it turns into a 0. Now the second step says to multiply the rounded number by 6 to find the product. The rounded number was 30. They want me to multiply it by 6. 6 times 0 is 0, and 6 times 3 is 18. So my product is 180. Letter B, round 55 to the nearest 10. So I do 55. These are my ones. These are my tens. They want me to round to the nearest 10. So I underline it. Circle the number to the right. So remember, we're looking at the one with the circle, which is a 5. The rule says 5 or more, add 1 more. So it is a 5. We're going to add 1 more, but we're going to add it to the one we're rounding, which is the 5. So 5, if we add 1 more, it would become a 6, and then the 5 becomes a 0. Divide the rounded number by 2 to find the quotient. So the rounded number was 60. They want me to divide by 2. This one is easy because it has a 0. 2 times what gives me 6? That is 3. Remember, the 0 did not get married, so he stays in our answer. So our quotient would be 30. Letter C, round 54 to the nearest 10. These are my ones and these are my tens. They want me to round to the nearest 10, so I underline it. Circle the number to the right, and we're going to put some ojitos because it's the one we're looking at. It's a 4, and the rule says 4 or less, let it rest. But who's going to rest? The one we underline. So the 5 stays the same. And then the 4 turns into a 0. Divide the rounded number, that was 50, by 5 to find the quotient. This one is easy because it has a 0. 5 times what gives me 5? That would be 1. And then the 0 did not get married. He stays by himself. So my quotient is 10. Letter D. Round 77 to the nearest 10. So 77, these are my 1s and these are my 10s. Remember, they want me to round to the nearest 10, so I'm going to underline it. Circle the number to the right. So that means we're looking at 7. Remember, 5 or more, add 1 more. It's a 7, so that means it's bigger than 5, and we're going to add 1 more. But we add that 1 more to the number we underline, which is going to be the 7. He's going to turn into an 8. And then the 7, he becomes a 0. Multiply the rounded number, that is 80, by 7 to find the product. 8 times 7, that equals 56. Remember, when we multiply, quito, pongo. So my product is 560. Letter E, round 42 to the nearest 10. So they want me to round to the nearest 10, so I'm going to underline it. Circle the number to the right, which is going to be a 2. It's a 2, and the rule says 4 or less, let it rest. So who's going to rest? The number we underlined, which is the 4. So the 4 stays the same. And then the 2 becomes a 0. Multiply the rounded number, that is 40, by 9 to find the product. 4 times 9 equals 36. When we multiply, quito, pongo. So my product is 360. So boys and girls, you are responsible for doing the numbers 1